sprinters.
your clothes
Tore it up
on.
underworld.
Right.
In reference to hip hop, when did this happen? Did this happen early in the 80s?
This happened when
Did Sugar
this
Hill?
happened when Run DMC took Laya Cohen on tour with them to be the road manager, and he came from a background in banking, and they had no idea about banking finances, tour finances, publishing, anything about the business. And before you know it, Laya Cohen goes from a roadie to an owner of Def Jam and hasn't left the game since. He's been the main player out of all of them that came. Where's Russell at? Where's Rick Rubin? But we damn sure know what Laya Cohen is. So when he came in and he brought his banking skills and knowledge and his background with his father's a Mossad agent into the game, it was fully infiltrated. But the trap was already set before they even got there. So the game's been fixed. It's an inside job. And I say that to say, fill in that blank about the Clive Davis part.
You know, prior to Laya Cohen, you know, and his arrival, we have the infiltration of soul music, or what they call black music, by the one and only Clive Davis, okay, who basically, as a Harvard graduate, you know, became a CIA operative when it was a white paper that was put out that talked about the need to infiltrate the quote-unquote black-owned and black-distributed soul music, black music, black, you know, these record labels were becoming very influential and very powerful, and Columbia Records put out, they basically put out a budget to open up the quote-unquote race department. And Clive Davis, he picked up the project. He infiltrated the Philadelphia sound.
Yeah, CBS Records. He was commissioned to infiltrate CBS Records. CIA studied the effects of black music. Now, nowadays, we see the CIA reports come out about their understanding of metaphysics. I'm sure everybody saw that on their TikTok screen, but no one ever told you what was the backdrop to this research that they were doing, because that was a compilation of research. But what exactly were they researching? They were researching the effects of melanated music and the effects that soul music had on the dynamic of what's considered to be the quote-unquote black body, for lack of better terms, which is the highest form of technology in the universe. Case in point, we know that for a fact because they went ahead to use Henrietta Lacks cells to create over 900 different key inventions that was needed and necessary for them to make scientific advancements. They said that they weren't able to go to space
until they coded
without coding the space shuttles with hella cells.
Her cells. Ha! What are we talking about?
What was the results of those tests? Like when they tested and said, this is what black music do to people. Like, what was the results? What did it do to people?
Again,
what did this music do to people? Like on a physical, mental, spiritual level?
Let me share something with you about the 70s. And let me share something with you about the 60s.
Okay.
And let's talk about the 50s. Let's talk about the 40s. And let's talk about the explosion of what they call soul music, right? Music about love, music about the heart chakra, music about beauty, music about blackness, right? The coming of age of a people who collectively were only, you know, being taught one way,
right?
In a very rigid way of thinking, in a very quote-unquote controlled, mental, you know, robotic.
Right. Think of it like a nap.
Yeah.
And the nap is tightly coiled, right?
Okay.
But it packs so much potential if you will unfoil or uncoil that nap, right?
Like a nap?
No. Like your hair.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Your 9-ether. So when it's coiled up, it's a 6-ether. But when you extend it and you pull it out, you know what I'm saying, and unfurl it, it has so much more potential. It's really reaching to its fullness and its potential. Feel me?
Right.
So that's like an analogy that I would utilize. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So when you looking like as far as like, because I'm speaking about like the results, right?
Yeah.
You know, as far as like the things that it's doing to people, were they able to see, all right, we can actually control negative and positive aspects with this shit?
Yeah.
Right. So there was an era where our people were being told that they were listening to secular music, right? There was the rise of
secular music.
Secular music, what they would call the devil's music, right?
Anything that's not gospel.
Anything that was not gospel. Anything that was not taming the beast and whatnot. Anything that was not making our people walk a certain type of line and whatnot. Anything that was not keeping...
anything that didn't keep our people curled up in 6
curled
ether.
up, domesticated in 6
Domesticated, right.
They did not want the primalness
right.
of our people, this primal energy.
Because they shamed your sexuality. The way to suppress you is the same, the sexual nature. So you suppress that creative force in you.
Right.
So they didn't want us dance in a certain way. They didn't want us sing in a certain way. They want us dress in a certain way. They want us speak in a certain way. And the way to best contain that is through religion.
Right.
So our folks were very, you know, the way that we interact with religion is very conservative. We're very traditionalist because our people take the word very serious because for majority of our people, that's all they had. So they clung on to that and they held on for dear life. And then they knew that they would program their children with that same level of reverence and fear.
Right. So
Feel me?
Prior to that, it was jazz music.
Yes.
Right? And the jazz musicians was on dope. You know what I'm talking about? So they was on that doogie. They was on that horse.
That
Feel
horse.
me? They was on that horse. Louis Armstrong and them was dealing with the za. They was pushing the equivalent of what Gumbo and them was moving back in those days,
right.
And he was singing about it. And Cab Calloway and them, and they were dealing with the spirits and whatnot, and they were fornicating, and dudes was out there getting busy and whatnot, and shorty, you know what I mean? You know, it was the quote unquote the 20s was what?
The roaring 20s.
Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sexuality was being discovered. Black men,
people were breaking out of their norms.
Suppressed, right? Who were being suppressed. Who were, out of all of the people on this planet, we were being targeted for our masculinity, our sexuality, our primal nature, who we were. You were supposed to walk with your head down. You were not supposed to pop out. You was not supposed to shine. You was not supposed to, you know, just be who you are. You were supposed to code switch.
Yeah, they wanted to unswag you.
They wanted to unswag you. They were trying to put a filter on your shine.
They wanted you bunny hopping like me.
They wanted you bunny hopping.
Domesticated.
They wanted to domesticate you, to demasculate you. Right?
like the little kitten.
Right,
and just,
right.
You know.
Demasculate you. Chop your member off.
Yeah.
So there was a large contingency of our people who bucked all of those norms. There were the policy bankers in Harlem that got busy. There was the men who came back from war that got busy. There was the men all up and down the South who had hundreds of acres in their names and whatnot who got busy. There was people in the West that don't ever let none of these Hollywood productions that is sponsored by you know who, right? Who got rewarded handsomely for lying against us and portraying us in such a derogatory nature for those blue-blooded, highbrow society members. They got rewarded by absorbing.
Yeah, they let them in the club.
They let them in the club. They made them white, which is a status. They brought the lower ranked Eastern European people. The book is called Empire of Their Own. Don't take my word. Empire of Their Own. It's a documentary on YouTube, but the book is a lot better. 500 some pages. Empire of Their Own. It lays everything about the beginning of Hollywood. And lays everything about the beginning of
So basically,
So they studied us. They studied our frequency.
from the 1920s, you're saying this is going back, like as far as them studying them. Yeah.
Jazz proved to be one of the highest forms of science. Mind you,
that was like hip hop before hip hop.
Yeah, because at the same time the Germans in particular were trying to use intellectualism, right? Western science and intellectualism to prove the inferiority of melanated people,
right?
To what?
Using pseudoscience.
Right, utilizing pseudoscience to qualify what we saw was coming, eugenics, right? So they were attempting as best as they can. Now, when they came to New Orleans and to regions such as that, and they encountered our people doing jazz is improv, right? So that's the expression of the highest form of intelligence known to man, because they can't quantify, measure it, or tell you how it happened.
Right.
So anything that can confound the Western mind is considered to be the higher science, because they can't quantify it, they can't put mathematics and measurements on it, they can't tell you what's being done, so they can be like, oh, we can throw a blackface on and do that.
Right.
The jazz was improv, you can't clone it. You know what I mean? Right. Just like hip hop is improv, freestyle, specifically battle freestyle. Battle specifically rap. If it was improv, what they call rebuttals and all of that, that is the highest form of intelligence, the highest form of intelligence on the planet, which puts some people in a real precarious place, because some battle rappers do it better than others. Shout out, I seen the dude, A Water. See, I give it up. I tell you where.
Yeah, give it up.
I tell you where
his rebuttal game crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you where it's qualified, and I'm not gonna let nobody's
he's crazy.
Skin tone conflate my observations. Son is crazy with what he does, real time rebuttals. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Facts. But so is
DNA, Chef Trez, Hollow the Don, Charlie Clips.
So is Loaded. I seen Loaded do it. I seen Charlie do it with plenty of humor. I seen Goods do it.
But yeah.
You know? So the ability and the willingness to do that, imagine that they did it for a whole round. Freestyle battle where there's actually a freestyle involved for the whole battle, yeah. Those dudes need to be enshrined immediately, because scientifically they're operating what's called the quadrivium, right? They're utilizing all 7 liberal arts.
What does that mean? I'm sorry?
The quadrivium is the 7 liberal arts, right? So the first is grammar, logic, and reason. That's the trivium. Grammar, logic, and reason is the so this is all considered to be, because 7 liberal arts is masonry. So this is the foundation of how you build masonry, because words are worlds. So this is the foundation of how building takes place. When you're ciphering, you're building.
Yes.
And when you're battling, you're in a cipher. So that's building on top of building, because you're doing it continuously. It's not like I'm debating you in a cipher or we building with information. I'm battling you.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm utilizing my mind to come up with rhyme, rhythmic pattern, syncopated. You know what I'm saying?
Get to it.
In real time, right? Utilizing logic, grammar, and rhetoric. The grammar is the speech. The rhetoric is me putting my bars together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The logic is me making all of that make sense. And then you have the quadrivium, of which you have arithmetic. You got to do it on beat and on meter and right timing. You got to know when to take breaths.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Geometry. You got to be building up visuals in the mind. You got to be building up bars. Bars is dealing with geometry.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Then you have astronomy, meaning that I can run a chart and see where was Geechee at and where was Easy the Block Captain's chart at, specifically when they had that battle. There's a lot of metadata there.
It was September 16th.
Right, for you
to see. I don't know what that means, but
where they chart was specifically located at, because that astronomy will tell you a narrative about this mythos that probably was preordained to always happen.
Wow.
Some other shit. Wow. And then the 7th liberal art is music itself. You know what I'm saying? So that's your ability to take all of that shit, all of that fly shit that I just said, and make a bop from it. Make some shit that's rhythmic that niggas is like, oh!
Like how Kendrick did.
You feel me? Or you could throw it on an 808, you could throw it on whatever, and it's something that we can enjoy it. The ability to do that shit on the fly is something that we might take for granted once again because we don't know a fucking clue or idea about our true value. We call ourselves God, but then what is that worth? How can you quantify what God's mind is worth? Because these niggas go to these battles and will come up with 3 rounds for one another. But outside of that shit and in between that, how many rounds are you coming up for you?
For life.
Right. For life. How are you transferring those rounds and spinning that shit into gold, into yarn? Why is it only worth value when you in a gladiator sport going, you know what I'm saying, sword to sword, blow for blow? Nigga, you got the gift of a god. You God tier. That's not just in a battle arena. Nigga, that's supposed to be outside that battle arena. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere and anywhere outside, like these brothers are titans with their talent. Titans with their talent. And they should stop looking for monetary quantification in order to qualify that. We need to edify that. We need to edify.
People would be like, "Yo, I'm more famous than I am rich, though."
But there's a way to change that, and I feel that this battle that we all witnessed, the winner, the ultimate winner.
Hold on, because I like the fact that we gave him a little bit of history on like. Not just like what y'all seeing as far as the battles and what's going on right now. Nah, there's a deeper history. There's something behind all of this.
Yeah, there's a mystery and a history.
So now I want to fast forward a little bit, right? When did you guys witness y'all first ever battle on the industry or on wax or whatever? Like when y'all was like, oh, like what was battling to y'all, or like how did y'all get introduced to like battle?